What is going on, fellow trumpeters and musicians? My name is Josh Rzepka, and today is Mute Monday. Now, if you're new around here, Mute Monday is a weekly series where I discuss and demonstrate different trumpet mutes from my extensive mute collection. Now, before we get started, if you have yet to download my free mute handbook, click the link below, fill in your email address, and I will send it directly to your inbox. This is a resource that I've created for all of you to help you get better. It is filled with tips and tricks that will elevate your mute game to the next level, and it will help you play the trumpet better starting today. Now today I've got 5 awesome mutes to play for you. These are mutes that I've had for a while, and I actually just got some messages this past week asking if I knew anything about these mutes, so I knew it was time to share them with you. So first up is the Humes and Berg wah-wah Du-All mutes, and I'm sure that some of you have these mutes. And the wah-wah Du-All, check it out. This is basically what the new version looks like, and there's a couple different paint jobs that they give it, but this is Humes and Berg's take on the Harman mute. And this is a fantastic mute, and they've been making it for a very long time. Check out this one. This is from the 1950s, I believe, and you can see that it says East Chicago, Indiana, so this was after they moved to Indiana. In my previous videos, I talked about how they started off in Chicago and then they moved their factory to Indiana, I believe in 1948. And so any mute that says Chicago, Illinois, you know is one of those earlier mutes. This one right here, it says East Chicago, Indiana. However, this is the older design. This is the same design as the older mutes. And you can see how it's different from this one right here. This is a slightly different shape and slightly different size. The bottom has still got these holes in it, and there's 2 layers of metal on the bottom. So it's like a Harman mute, and then there's this extra metal on top, and it's got the holes in it. These holes right here don't actually open up into the actual mute. Those are just part of like a exterior facade. And the only hole in this mute is actually right here. And both of these have a stem that comes out just like your standard Harman mute. So I will be demonstrating both of these side to side so you can hear the difference between one from the 1950s and then another one. This is pretty recent, so it's not that old. Next up, I've got some really cool vintage mutes. These you see on eBay every so often. They pop up. And if you've ever wondered what they sound like, well, I will be demonstrating all 3 of them. And these are, of course, the Selmer Styratone mutes. Check these 3 mutes out. Here is a close-up. This is the Harman one. And you see it says Selmer Styratone, right? And these are made in England. And then look at that, with the felt belt. That's what all of them say. And this is the Harman style mute. And I will show you that in comparison to the wah-wah Du-All in a moment, just so you can see the sizes. This is their straight mute, and then this is the cup mute. So Styratone, what is that all about? Selmer Styratone, precision made with the felt belt. So all 3 of these mutes, they actually have a piece of felt on the inside. That's the felt belt. So these are plastic mutes with a piece of felt on the inside to help with the sound. Now, the name of these is Styratone, and that comes out of course, like styrene, polystyrene. That is the chemical name that they had for plastic, and that gives us a little idea of when these were made. In 1938, Dow Chemicals introduced polystyrene to the manufacturing world in the United States, and it must not have been too long after, maybe sometime in the 40s or the 50s, when Selmer started making these Styratone mutes. It was really the 1940s and 50s that it was like plastics were big, and you see that across manufacturing in the United States. And then it was kind of more into the 1960s, 70s where people were like, wait a minute, what's in these plastics and what are they doing to our environment when they're manufactured? So I have a feeling that these were made sometime in that time frame. Now, I don't know when they stopped making these, I don't know how many they made, but I know you see them on eBay from time to time, and they made them in a couple different colors. And I've got this set here that's matching. I have some red ones as well. And as far as I can tell, they are all very similar. So I'm just going to demonstrate the 3 of these mutes. Now check out the size difference in this Selmer Styratone Harman mute compared to this mute from Humes and Berg. You can't even compare the sizes. This one is so much smaller, and I think the size of this mute is the reason that it plays the way it plays. I'm gonna just give a quick preface. This mute with the stem out plays quite poorly in the low register. You'll hear a lot of the notes, they just don't even come out. But I'm gonna play all of my typical demonstrations for you so you can really hear how this mute sounds and performs. Generally speaking, I don't put the stem in when I'm doing these Harman reviews. However, for this video, I'm going to leave the stem in for this, and then I'm going to take it out so you can hear how drastic of a difference it is. Because this might be a mute that you could use with the stem in. I would not recommend using it with the stem out, but you will hear it in just a minute. All right, so that is enough talking. Let's get to the playing, and I want you to listen and let me know in the comments which of these two mutes you think is the best, and then let me know what you think about these Selmer Styratone mutes. All right, you've just heard all 5 of these mutes, and I thought they were pretty cool. I was pretty surprised at how differently these two wah-wah Du-All mutes played. And this one in particular, this older one from the 1950s, well, this one you can see the shape of it and the size of it is just a little bit bigger than this one, particularly this bottom section is bigger. And because of that, this mute here, it feels a little more open when I play it. It doesn't feel as backed up. However, it doesn't feel as focused, and I'm not sure if that really came across too much, but the notes to me did not seem as focused and as as centered as this one. And this one, it felt a little tighter, and the notes to me sounded a little bit brighter. So that might be something that you guys are looking for in a Harman mute, especially if you're playing in a section in a big band and you want something that's going to project. I know a few players that really like playing on this mute, and so I see it every so often on the bandstand. So this is a great mute. It is a great Harman mute to consider if you are looking for a different sound. And also this mute, I think it comes with a couple different paint jobs, and I believe they also make it in copper, although I do not have one of those. So hopefully I can get my hands on one of those for a future video. Now, these Selmer Styratone mutes, what did you think about those? I was always pretty curious about these until I got my hands on them. And I've got to say, this Harman style one, this one right here, not the best mute that I have. In fact, this is probably one of the worst slotting mutes that I own in my entire collection. Even a low C doesn't work that well with the stem out, and a low D, not very good either. So you're not going to use this mute in an instance where you need that traditional Harman sound. It's not going to give it to you, and it's not going to respond. However, with the stem in, this mute is usable, and it's not great, it's not the best, but at least it's functional. So if you find one and you purchase it, you know at least you can use it. And you may find yourself grabbing this mute one day because it's actually going to give you the right sound. Now, the cup mute and the straight mute, these two, on the other hand, these mutes are actually usable. These are nice mutes. I think there's something about the felt that they put inside of these and the combination of the plastic that really softens these mutes up quite a bit. The articulation is not that precise on either of these mutes. I feel like it is pretty fuzzy. It just doesn't have a lot of distinction to the front of the note. And the notes themselves, they don't have the biggest and most resonant core to them either. They sound a little tubby or hollow sometimes. That being said, I think they're actually pretty even in the sound that they give you throughout the registers. So these might be, again, a sound that you can use on a gig or recording, and it's going to work for the situation and circumstance that you're in. But if you find these, you know, they're fun mutes to have, and I would be really interested to see some of the other mute manufacturers out there maybe try and incorporate some of these ideas. Of course, the Ray Robinson mute had felt on the inside. The Humes and Berg mica mute also has a felt lining on the inside. The Fax cup mute that I reviewed a number of weeks back, that had like a felt on the interior, and the MuteTech cup mutes, I haven't gotten to those yet. And there's a number of other brands. They have on the inside of the cup a lining, but not on the inside the mute. If you can see all the way inside the mute, you'll actually see that there's a piece of felt underneath. And this one here, same thing. It's inside. You can't really see it. The same with the Harman mute. That's the cool thing actually about this mute, is that there is felt on the interior of the mute. So they put it in there before they closed it up, or they just kind of smushed it in and pushed it in somehow. But I'm wondering if that might be something that some other manufacturers might want to experiment with. Maybe they already have and they realized that it wasn't a very good idea. Maybe that's what's causing the notes here to not have that clarity that I'm really looking for and hoping for in modern mutes. However, sometimes there is too much of a bite and too much of an edge to a sound. So these might be just the thing you're looking for. If you're looking for a really smooth mute to just sneak in there, you just got to sneak in, and maybe these are going to get the job done. One final note that I've got on these Selmer Styratone mutes, the intonation on these, the Harman one, this one here, when I was playing with the stem in, all the way up to that high C chromatically, and with the stem out, it was very, very flat. And of course you heard how terribly this performed in the lower register with the stem out. I will also note that the cup mute and the straight mute, both of these, they had some intonation issues way down low and especially way up high, being very, very sharp as you get down, and then very, very flat as you get up into the upper register. But besides that, the sound and the articulation and everything on these is pretty even and not so bad. Well, that is all I've got for you today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and if you have not yet subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It actually really makes a big difference. Coming up next week, I have got a bunch of mutes from Mute Tech that I'm going to be sharing with you, and that's going to be great. We're going to do a Mute Tech week. So I'm looking forward to that. They make some fantastic mutes. And then I think the week after that, I'm going to do a second practice mute video. A lot of people messaged me this past week telling me how much they enjoyed the practice mute video and then asking about all kinds of other practice mutes. Well, I've gotten my hand on a handful more practice mutes, at least 5 or 6. So in 2 weeks, we are going to be hearing a whole bunch more practice mutes. So I will see you next week.